my tours with Aman. I picked him up, and when we were driving, I pointed out all the different landmarks we passed and what different neighborhoods we were driving through. He had been to Chicago a lot since his sister has lived there for about 3 years, so he's pretty familiar with the city, but I mean, still, it was good for him to, reiterate all the different spots. So our first stop was Envy, and we met with Anthony. Immediately coming into the lobby, he thought it was really, really cool. He loved the location. It turned out to be his second favorite of the day. And so we went upstairs, met with Anthony. We were shown three apartments, one model, just to give him a good idea of the sense of space and really how spacious the apartments are. And then we saw one on the 21st floor. They were both east facing units. So one on the 21st floor had really, really great views. It was close to 900 square feet, so definitely something he was interested in, because that was one thing I reiterated, was that like space was really important to him. He made it very clear early on that he wants to be able to entertain, and he's a really good cook, so like that was all very important to him. One bummer that he did notice at Envy was that it's an all-electric building. So that was one thing that he was uncertain about, because he is a good cook, and he was like, well, I do much prefer gas to electric. But I assured him, it's much easier to clean and you get used to it very quickly. And it wasn't a deal breaker by any means, but just something he noticed. Another con to Envy that I think was just something that he just found was impractical was that you had to enter the bathroom going through the master bedroom, which of course doesn't have a door. So those were two things that, I mean, again, they weren't deal breakers, but just things that he noticed about the unit that obviously he just didn't really like. But space wise, the one on the eighth floor also was south facing, as I said, and it had a really, really, really dynamic view. You could see the green garden roof of Envy, street level because it's on the eighth floor as well. And then you could also see up into the city you could see like a lot of the Streeterville iconic buildings. You could see the Intercontinental and the Wrigley Clock Tower. So it was a really, really neat view. So, and then of course it was completely obstructed by whatever building was right in front of it. I forget what's across the street from MV directly. It's some sort of commercial space, but that was like immediately blocking the view. So that was, not great, but everything else definitely made up for it. So that one would have been the second choice for him, is the one on the eighth floor. So after MV, we headed over to Grand Plaza and we met with John. We were running a little behind on schedule, so on our way, we parked on the Dearborn side, so we went up through the condo side, and then while we were going into the leasing office, I showed him the amenities, because I know that that's not super important, and if we had gone through with John, it would have taken like 15 minutes. So I just showed him the amenities myself. I know I've been to Grand Plaza several times, so that was not a big deal. Plus, I kind of felt like it did build credibility on my part, in that I could just tell him, like, here's this, this, and then go through and explain it. So anyway, we meet with John. He only has one apartment to show us. It's slightly upgraded. It had stainless steel appliances, the granite island, and the more so cherry hardwood floors. The regular tile, or the regular countertops, though, were still the white, like Formica, really standard finished countertops. And along with that, in the bathroom, it was very standard finishes as well. It was a very spacious unit. It was one of their corner one bedrooms, so it's that kind of odd configuration and floor plan, very angular, which was not something that he thought was great. And also, it was almost the same price as Envy, it was 21.35, and Envy would have been right at the cusp with parking at 23.50, and this was 21.35 plus the astronomical like 300 parking that they have over at Grand Plaza. So he couldn't justify the age and not as many upgrades for being more expensive than Envy, considering it's the same size but an awkward layout. So that one was pretty much written off right as soon as we left. Next, we went to Flair. We went with Dan. He really loved the lobby of Flair. He liked the unit. It didn't bother him at all that it was only the 700 square feet, and that's when I got to use about the square footage doesn't matter in terms of number. It's how the space feels, because Flair's only over, like, just over 700 square feet. I believe they're like 725 for a one bed, and Envy's was over 900, and he had no problem at all with the 200 difference in square footage. So he did really like Flair. They did offer the hardwood flooring upgrade free on any unit. So that was cool as well. We saw one on the 21st floor. All of them are west facing though, which obviously isn't as desirable as the south or east, or I guess the north facing would be kind of nice too. But at the end, it was actually the best price. All in, it would have been $22.30, and that's including parking. So that one, price wise, he really liked it as well. But he didn't like the location as much. In River North, he preferred to be more so like next to Hubbard in that area than in that River West, River Northy area. And then last we went to 500 North Lakeshore. And as soon as he walked into the lobby, he was very, very impressed. And he noticed right away about the technology with the elevators and the fobs. So I explained that briefly. We went into the leasing office. He was obviously very taken aback as well again, and he looked at me and he was like, wow, this is amazing. And so we meet with Margot. We go and check out a couple of different units. We're standing in one with the bath and shower combo, and I remember at 500 Lakeshore they have the stand-up shower option, and I know men typically like to just have the stand-up shower option. So I asked Margot if they had that same floor plan with the stand-up shower, and she's like, oh yeah, and actually we're running a special on that option today. And I was like, oh, fantastic. So then we took a look at it. We did the kind of consultation when we were in the living room about how he would configure his space. Luckily, he doesn't have any furniture. That's one thing that he does have to buy. So we got to, kind of help him pick out what he would get and the best way, the proper placement of all the furniture. And then we looked at the amenities, and he said from the start, amenities aren't that important, but he was like, wow, the amenities are killer. And like, even when he was on the phone with his mom briefly, he mentioned the amenities. So we went up to the leasing office, and I told him, I was like, we have a couple more places to see in Streeterville. And he was like, no, this is it. He was like, I really love it. And then he started filling out the application, and since he is still a student, he's doing rotations. Right now, he had to get a cosigner, so then he called his mom, and he was like, Mom, I found my apartment. It's such a great price. It's beautiful. Like, you have to see it. And so his mom filled out the application right away. Kelly was processing the lease, or about to process it, at 5:45 this evening. The office phone shut down at 6, so I haven't heard from her. If not, it'll be done first thing tomorrow morning. But he signed right on the spot. So that is my Amal process for today.